500,000 people could lose their jobs depending on how the trade war goes. It's like, that's huge.
Trauma is internalized and then becomes part of your DNA.
We're leaving this country. It's over.
And a decision like that should not be made solely based on emotion.
Everybody, it's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversation, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And the morning vibe is here. June 23rd, really nice. Well, if you love heat, Toronto is the place to be. It is the place to be. We are in the middle of like hot, hazy, humid days. I think yesterday it got up to like 32, 33 degrees Celsius, which is like, I know, over 90 degrees here in Toronto. And last night, the temperature, it went down, but it didn't go down much. So we are in the middle of heat in the street today. So looking forward to another epic conversation. The weekend, what's the week? Well, let me go in reverse order. Yesterday did 2 epic conversations. Last night on Black Men Can Talk, myself, Brother Kofi, and Black Nerd Talk, Black Gentleman, that's his handle, Black Nerd Talk. We had a conversation, what care looks like for Black men. Really great conversation. And it was nice that the conversation started with myself and Brother Kofi, and Black Nerds Talk kept on putting in comments. I said, you know what? Forget about these comments. Just come on screen. So I asked them to come on screen, and we had a great conversation. We're going to be doing part 2 of it next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So check it out. It was really good. And then not much before that, we had Cesar Nadima Musa on Black Canada Talking, and he was chatting everything about what's going on with the United States and Iran, Juneteenth in the United States. What else? We also talked about No King's Day, the aftermath in the United States. Full conversation. So basically, I was in front of a screen. Well, Cesar was a little late because of traffic from about 6 o'clock yesterday till about 9 o'clock. And most of the time having epic conversations, which we love to do. That was great. And I had a lot of fun doing it. And then Saturday afternoon, we had Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala, and they went in on what's going on. It was actually just after we finished that conversation. That's when the U.S. did their strikes against Iran. And I'd be interested to know if you're watching this live, and even if you're watching this on the replay, put in the comment section, what do you think about, the war? Do you think it's going to escalate? Do you approve it? Do you disapprove of it? It's all, it's all going to be interesting. We're all going to feel it because I know that the next time I put in gas, it's going to cost me more than when I paid gas for about 2 or 3 days ago. But that's the way of the world, but we've just got to focus on ourselves and doing what's right for us. That's the most important thing. What's going on today? Not too much. We're just going to have another epic conversation, and we're going to bring on. I can't call her a new friend anymore because she's been here before. And when she was here in the past, I said, "Wow, like fire!" And then after the show, I said, I want to give this wonderful lady a call. And I just intuition said, "Hey, would you like to come on once a month? Because you have so much value to add to the Black environment." I said, "Sure." And then I realized, and I said, okay, after I looked at it, I just took a look and said, she's got so much stuff going on already. Where's she going to squeeze us in? But she found a way. So she's going to be squeezing us in once a month from her Niagara Tour. I think that's the best way. Let me put it Black Niagara Tour. Let me put it that way. And she's smiling in the background. Another thing I really like also is that when we were playing our intro, she was getting into music. You know, that is wild. That is really wild. But you know what? We're going to push on through. What we're going to do is we are going to go for a break. And when we come back, we're going to have Emma with us for the second time, but the first time on her own. The first time she was by herself. So we'll be back in 30 seconds on the Morning Vibe. It's prime time Saturday with Aisha and Lala. So if it's prime time with Aisha and Lala, it's prime time to bring them on the stage.
When someone asked Comer to take it down, he said no because it was in the form of a question. This isn't Jeopardy.
It's going to be interesting to see how the world reacts. But for America, they're the one who put them there. So guess what? Somebody else worry about it.
So he doesn't have the popularity to win a race like that. So what does he do? He buys himself a government position.
So there we go. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. That's on 5 p.m. Saturday afternoons, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Now, I've been told by our producer that we are not broadcasting on YouTube. And it's funny because I'm seeing we're supposed to be, but it's not. So I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. But you know what? We're just going ahead anyways. We just push forward. I have no control over the technology. Let's do some things. Let's do some housework first. First things first. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also, like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. And I forgot to put Blue Sky, but we'll add that later. Also, join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Please email myself at dr@thedrvibeshow.com or click on the link you see on your screen to join our Discord group. Also, to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm part of, please feel free to email me again, dr@thedrvibeshow.com. And then finally, can't forget Dr. Tachi, Indie Soup Media, independent content creators platform that she started 14 months ago. She's based out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Great digital associate and compadre. And they have 27,800 subscribers in 15 months. That is phenomenal. Now, you know what? It's sort of bothering me here. Why am I not broadcasting to YouTube? Which is weird. Because on my end, it says I'm broadcasting, but I just checked during the break. Nothing's happening on YouTube. Go figure. But you know what? We just push ahead. All right. I told you about our second time friend who's going to be joining us today. And let me give you a little bit background on her, because and you'll find out why after I share why I say, can she fit us in? So Emma Ansah, she is a multifaceted entrepreneur, journalist, and community advocate. As the second Canadian correspondent. No, let me correct that. As the Canadian correspondent for African Diaspora News Channel, Emancipation Media, and the Daily Scrum News. Already you're going, oh, it's my head. She sheds light on anti-Black racism and showcases excellence within the Black community. Her channel, Emma Ansah Unfiltered, sparks crucial conversations. I highly recommend you check it out, and we'll put the information on it in just a moment. As co-owner and VP Marketing and Brands for the Carl Parks collection, Emma crafts and executes innovative brand strategies, harmonizing tone, voice, and campaign success. Man, if I need a copywriter, I know who I have. Through her work, Emma champions anti-Black racism, Black excellence, community empowerment, small business growth, with expertise in marketing, journalism, and community engagement. Emma is a driving force for change. So let's bring up for the second time, but the first time on her own, Emma in the house.
Hello, greetings.
How are you? What's going on? Like, we're having a little technical difficulty here.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we're not seeing. Yeah, this platform is not behaving itself today.
Was on.
There we go. That's better. Okay, we are good. That is good. So how we doing this morning?
We are doing good, highly blessed and favored.
Good stuff. We were chatting about some of your background before we came on live. And I went, oh, so I think our family would love to know, what were you doing before for a number of years before you got into the world of media?
Oh, well, since 1996, I was an accountant. My life was all about finance. And on April 24th, I said goodbye. And that's April 24th of 2025. So that's 29 years in finance. Yes, yes. So I'm happy to, sort of find my passion. And it took a while, but for the longest time, I thought finance was my passion. And it was until, I don't know, creativity stepped in. And I was like, I really love this space, the space of journalism, the space of writing articles, just that whole creative space really spoke to me, and ultimately I got to a point where I was able to justify walking away and doing it. So I'm happy.
Nice. What got you into accounting?
It started off with just working at call centers. So I'm about to date myself, going back to the days of Rogers and Cantel and then Rogers.
Hold on. Cantel?
Remember Cantel?
Wow.
Yes. Back in the day, working at the call center and working, in the department where you don't pay, you get cut off. So it started there. And then eventually I took some accounting courses because I enjoyed it. And then from there, I kind of just worked my way up. And the next thing you know, I was in accounting specifically. So yeah, that's how it started. It started at the call center.
It's funny. My when I started university, my dad wanted me to take accounting.
There's never a shortage, of work. Never.
Numbers and money. Now I've shared this once in a while. I remember first class, went in, the I don't know if professor or whatever you call them said, look at the person in front of you, behind you, to your left and to your right. By the end of the first term, 2 of those people will be gone. I said, wow, that's such encouraging news to and I failed my first term exam.
Those exams are not easy.
And at the end of the first term, I quit the course.
Oh, so you just realized, it's not for me.
Like with my personality, and that for me just not at a line.
Yeah.
And it was, and then I said to my dad, love you and all that, but I'm quitting accounting and I'm going to pay for my university. And paid for my own university all through those years, and graduated with the university with no debt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that was it. So what made you go into the world of journalism?
You know what? I did not have journalism background, but I left Toronto in 2006 and moved to the Niagara region. And when I moved here, I literally was one of a handful of Black people in the region. But I would say over the past 2 or 3 years, for sure, I started to see more Black-owned businesses coming up. And at the time, I had started doing public relations. That was another thing that I fell into because my sister is an author and she wrote a series. And I, at the time, was working at SiriusXM, still in the finance area. Mm-hmm. And I was so blown away by her books. I kind of just went downstairs to programming and said, hey, I've got a sister who wrote some books. You think you'd be interested in interviewing her? And then they were like, yeah. So I ended up having to create a press release. So I just went to YouTube University. How do you create a press release? I literally did, like, when I say I had no training on any of those things. And so I kind of learned how to do it, and I created a press release, and then I, got her in for an interview, and I said, gosh, I really like this, So then from there, I decided I was going to start my own business in PR. Then I got my second client and my third client, and then I decided to take a little online course just so I can refine my skills. And so then I started doing PR. From that, I was then had sort of more courage because I literally had a crippling fear of public speaking. You wouldn't believe it now, but I was terrified. You couldn't get me in front of a camera, people, nothing. So with doing PR, and then also by the grace of God, because God knew I needed to do this, I started my own YouTube channel, and I decided I wanted to be a vlogger, and I was going to go to all these Black-owned businesses, and I was going to feature them. And so I did. And I had 11 subscribers. I was so happy, and I was going around I was like, wow, I got 11 subscribers, So I was going around, interviewing people, featuring their businesses. And then I have locks, so my loctician, I featured her, and I would use myself as, the model. And then one day, a friend of mine reached out to me and said, oh, I just saw this call out from Philip Scott of African Diaspora News Channel, and he's looking for a Canadian correspondent, and I think you would be perfect for it. And I was like, I don't have any journalist background. And he's like, well, watch this clip, because he's saying you don't necessarily have to. And I was like, wow, okay. So I watched it, and I, he had specific instructions. So I decided, all right, I'm going to send an email. So I sent an email just talking about my experience with anti-Black racism in Canada. And then he responded and said, I was invested in your story. Let me put you in touch with my business manager, and he'll get you all straightened out. Then, I had to do an audition video. I did it. And the rest is history. I got the job, and actually my audition video was the first one that went up on the channel.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was the first one that went up on the channel, and it did well. And, fast forward 2 years, and I'm still there. And then from that, I started working at TIFF, so Toronto International Film Festival Africa Hub. And I met Donovan Martin there, CEO of the Daily Scrum News. And we had a brief conversation because I was running panels for all of the people in film that were, in attendance. So I had a brief conversation with him, and then we ended up talking after that. And then he offered me the opportunity to be a contributor on the Daily Scrum News. And so that happened. And then as time went by, Philip Scott has another channel called Emancipation Media, where on that platform, we report specifically on things that go on in the United States against our community. So I also contribute to that platform, but just reporting on American news. So that's kind of how it happened. And so it really just happened, people taking a chance on me, seeing something that I didn't see, and, offering me that opportunity. And through that, I've made the effort and taken the initiative to learn more, hone my craft, and, take notes and take criticism and take it and apply it. And it's just gotten better and better for me. So yeah, that's my story. So now I'm in the creative space, and I love it.
Do you wish you would have done this years ago?
To be honest with you, no. Because years ago, I would not have made it. I would have been shown the door. Because as I was saying, I had a crippling fear. You couldn't pay me to be in front of a camera, in front of people, anything like that. So I think there's something to be said about timing. And the time was right now for me. So I I wouldn't have been ready.
All right. Well, just to tell everyone on the front end, again, we are having some technical difficulties connecting to YouTube, but we just stay the course. We just keep on doing it. We just keep on doing it because that's the way we are. Don't get good, get done. All right. We are here today because of an article that you've written.
Yes.
A very strong, in a good way, article called "Why Can't We Build Together? A Call for Unity in the Black Community." What made you write this article at this time?
Well, in being a journalist and just reporting on things that are happening within our community, one of the things that I recognize is that there seems to be a gap as it relates to unifying in our community. There's a gap as it relates to building together. And one of the things that I was invited to be a part of was with Black People United for Change. When I started reporting on the missing Black people in Canada, particularly the missing Black youth, it became a very, very massive story. And from that, we were just looking at why there seems to be a difference in the way that our lives are perceived or handled, if you will. And then we decided that we wanted to have a peaceful demonstration to just talk about all of these things that go on in our community: anti-Black racism, discrimination, racial profiling, over-policing, over-representation in the prison systems, like all of the things that are happening, anti-Black hate crimes. And why don't we have a law specifically for that? So we reached out to so many people in the political field that were Black, and we asked if they would be a part, if they would join us in this, this fight, join us at this demonstration, come and speak. And no was the answer for the most part. It was no. We reached out to so many MPs, you name it. And the answer was no.
Can I just politely interrupt there? Did they just say no? Did they give a reason or just no?
Well, most of the time it was, I have something else. I'm not going to be available on that date. Some people said it's a waste of time.
Oh.
Yeah, some people said, I'm not comfortable with the way it's being organized. There was every excuse. And then we ended up getting some death threats. So we were warned to not go forward with this demonstration. Otherwise, what will happen to you people. And so we ended up having to get the police involved. And then from that, some people that were invited to speak backed out because they didn't feel comfortable. They were concerned about their lives. Understandably so. But we still went forward with it. And I want to say maybe there was like 5 people that showed up in the community, and then the brothers from Israel United in Christ showed up like 30 deep. And had it not been for that group, we would have just been 5 people outside in the cold rain. So it just got us thinking, like, why is it a struggle to unify against a cause that affects our life? And so that's when I started writing this article. And then I was just asking, like, why don't we? When we see other groups of people that are able to do it. I mean, when you look at Chinatown, you look at Little India, Greek Town, little Portugal, like they all build and grow and commune and unite. So it was a question. And I just wrote that article. I was like, why? Why do we? Why don't we? Let's have this conversation. What is the reason why? So that's kind of the high level
Right.
perception of me writing that article.
So you talk about the challenges to building unity. What do you see as the biggest obstacles to unity in the Black, and I would say, I like to say environment, other people like to say community, but I'll, for respect for your article, I'll say, what do you see as the biggest biggest obstacles to unity in the Black community today?
Well, there are a few. I would say the first one is there just seems to be this, I want to say competition almost, where it's like we as Black people will work really hard to get to a certain level, and there's kind of like, I don't want to share that with you because, like that saying, everybody that comes with you can't go with you. Mm-hmm. And so I worked so hard to get here, and I'm the only one here, and so I'm not really interested in sharing that with you. And then if there's two of us, there's this competition of, instead of us working together, it's like, I'm going to do what you're doing, but I'm going to do it better. So that, I feel, is one of the reasons. And then also there's a lot of people that just feel like they're just going to say no. So what's the point? I'm not even going to bother. Like, what's the point in signing this petition? It's not going to go anywhere with the government. They're not going to implement this law. So there's already this no in the mindset of our people. So those are some of the main reasons, I feel like. And then I think that causes us to just not be able to unify and come together and pool our strengths and build together. There's also a little bit of backbiting. Sometimes it's like, oh, did you see what that person's doing? I don't think they're doing it good, so I think we should go over here and do it better. Or did you hear about Dr. Vibe? Dr. Vibe's podcast, he says X, Y, and Z, and I'm not going to watch him. Like, those are the kinds of things, instead of being like, hey, you know what, Dr. Vibe? I like what you're doing, but you know what? I think we can do this. Why don't we come together and plan this? That seems to have left. And I always say, we need to go back to the days of Tulsa in the United States, when in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Black people were not allowed to be in any space where white people were. They went and built their own. And they were thriving. Banks, major institutions. They were doing so good. Their community was vast, riches, and they didn't like it, so they burned it down. But my point is that they did not allow them to stop them, and they built. Now on the Canadian side, we can talk about Africaville in the 1860s, where we had a group of Black people in Nova Scotia that were not allowed to leave that area, and they didn't even get garbage pickup. You know, everything ended right there, and it was called Africaville, but they still managed to thrive with nothing. Do you see? So I'm just saying, we need to go back to that, and we need to go back to saying it is going to happen, and we can build together, and we're capable. We are brilliant. We're intelligent. We are talented. We can't only just focus on entertainment. There are things going on in this world that are affecting us, and it's not changing.
Right. From your lens, how do historical factors contribute to this situation?
Well, you know, if we go back to the days of slavery and how we were extracted and taken and everything that we went through, I think that there are some people that still have that mentality within them, which is why I say we as a community need to look back at what other communities were doing before we came along. And we need to adopt that mindset and get rid of that mentality, because we are very capable of doing everything that other communities do. We're capable of building the same way. And you know, I think about certain parts of Toronto, for example, Jane and Finch or Little Jamaica, and how they're trying to gentrify that area. And, you know, it's really troublesome to me, because had we been in the position where we were showing that we are able to build and grow, then maybe they wouldn't be targeting those areas. And I'm not suggesting that they're targeting it for that reason. I'm just saying that I'm not seeing them do it in other communities like Chinatown, and we're not seeing them bulldozing them out and trying to like gentrify those areas. You see what I'm saying? So that's my 2 cents.
Well, and let me ask you then, let me go. Have you witnessed or participated in any successful examples of unity or coalition building? And if you have, what made them work?
The only examples that I'm seeing is with working with these platforms like African Diaspora News, Emancipation Media, where we are a family that's building together and growing. And it works because we have a leader that is about that and enforces that and shows us what it means and what it looks like to build and to build within our people. Hiring Africans as editors and graphic artists. And then you've got contributors in Kenya, in Nigeria, in South Africa, showing that we can be on every part of the globe, but still be able to unite and build and grow. When I came on 2 years ago, and when I see how much we've grown in less than 2 years, that to me shows that it is something that we can do. We just need to be able to be aligning ourselves with people who think like we do. They say align yourself with people that are going on the same path as you. And like I said, it's capable. So that's when I first started to see it. And I'm like, wow, this is what it is. This is how we do it.
You and I are both based in Canada. The examples you just gave in the last few moments mostly are outside of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
What concerns do you have in regards to leadership in Black Canada?
The same thing, that lack of wanting to build. Now, I'm not suggesting there are some organizations that are doing great things, but I just feel like it's all standalone businesses. Like if I'm doing something or an event or something like that, and I want all of these different organizations to join, it's like pulling teeth. So that to me is why I just ask, like, why can't we rebuild the spirit of Tulsa, reignite the fire of Africville, go back to when we were willing to fight for one another, not against each other, and that's, I feel like is what gets in our way. We get in our way where that's concerned. So to the short answer is, I'm not really seeing it to the level I'd like to see it in Canada, like I see it with the platforms I work for in the United States. And even when you turn on the TV, when you look at demonstrations and rallies and stuff in the United States, they pull up. So
let me bring this point out. There are a number of people that are saying that, yeah, demonstrations are good all in all, but we live in a capitalistic society. In order for Blacks to move forward, we've got to really get our economics right. What are your thoughts on that in regards to working together?
Agree. And I feel like we have a lot of Black people that are very skilled in that area. There's a lot of financial planners. There's a lot of, wealth management people that are Black. It's a matter of building some sort of community where we're educating people on finances, we're educating people on economics, because there are a lot of people that are very skilled in this business. It's just a matter of us getting together and finding a way to, bridge that gap, get together, build, and be able to like educate on that. Maybe it's summits every year, maybe it's quarterly summits, where the Black community is coming together and we have experts in these fields that can teach.
Got it. A few moments ago, I asked about, historical challenges that block this from happening. How do generational differences impact our ability to come together?
Generational differences as it relates to um, young versus old, Gen
Yeah.
Z versus Gen. Okay.
Yeah, all of that, all of that, all of that.
Well, I would say the generations of, like, I would say like millennials, Gen Z, I don't feel like there's a real example set for them. So that's why I feel like it is incumbent upon us, the older ones, because when we're no longer above ground, they're going to be forging on. So it's important for us to set those examples, which is why I keep going back to how can we come together as a community to build and set those examples, generational wealth, all of those things for our kids and our kids' kids and our kids' kids' kids. And it starts with us. It starts with us.
100%.
The parents, the grandparents, the foster parents, the bonus parents, uncle, auntie, our generation needs to set the example for the new generation, the babies coming up behind us. Because right now, I feel like there's a lot of youth that are lost. And I'm not suggesting that, it's all youth, but there are a lot of youth that are lost.
One of the things I've become more and more passionate about is the state of the Black family.
Yeah.
How do you feel, if at all, that impacts the conversation topic we're chatting about today?
Well, in my reporting on missing Black youth in particular, one of the things that I've been told and I've learned from, being in conversations with the police is that a lot of them come from broken homes. So you're coming from a single parent home and, there are financial struggles. So for the ones that fall in that category that are being either lured or running away from that situation and getting involved in things like selling drugs and stuff like that, this is a prime example of the broken Black family and how that impacts the youth. Now, I'm not saying all of them fall in that category, but there are, a number of them that do. So on the flip side of that, there are still youth that are in a home that's not broken and still fall under there. So the question begs is what's going on in the Black family that is affecting the youth to the point where they're either wanting to flee or they're getting into gang violence and things like that. There's one of the things that one of the MPPs said when we had the petition, our petition read at the legislation, is that the Black community is fractured and the Black family unit is fractured. Single moms, single dads, multiple baby mamas, multiple children by different dads and moms, all of those things do impact the children.
Yeah, it's a hill to climb, but it can be climbed.
100%.
Okay. I want to talk about also now the impact of local versus global Black identities, because I feel that this whole thing about unity comes down to each one of our own identities of ourselves.
Yeah.
What would you like to add to that thought that I just put across?
Well, I do think that there's a lack of confidence, I would say. And like I said, this defeatist attitude that, even if I try, I'm going to be told no. Or even if I go and take this course, I'm probably not going to get the job. Somebody else will get it over me. So it's immediately like, I'm not even going to bother. Right. And I think it's important for us to really be able to understand how brilliant we are and understand how we can take no for an answer. I know for me personally, I did not, but I will admit that there was a period of time where I conformed to a certain look that I felt was necessary in order for me to be recognized or be viewed or be considered for a position or a role. And that involved not having locks and natural hair. That involved wearing the long, wigs and with bone straight hair. And that involved me dressing a certain way. And so I get it because I was there. But at some point I had to get to a point where I'm saying, you know what, you need to know my worth, but I need to know my worth first. And that's what I need to bring into the room so that you're not focusing on the way I look. And it is a climb. It's not easy, but it starts with us. We have to be the ones to say, I am capable of achieving this. I am equally as formidable as my other counterparts. It's like self-affirmations every day.
100%.
Like when you remember in that movie, The Help, you is strong, remember that? Like, it's literally that, like self-affirmations and not accepting no for an answer. And there are a lot of Black people that are killing it here. They are crushing the game. And I've been fortunate since going into the creative space to have met and currently working with some people that are doing amazing things. So it exists. We just all need to get to that point.
Let me ask you, just mentioned you're working with a number of people who are doing. Do we in the Black environment hear about these people? Are those people we know about? Because those could be people who say there are some of us doing it. Are they standing under the radar?
Yes. And that's why I'm so passionate about, I'm like pulling up everywhere to be like, look, Black excellence, I'm like a beacon. But African Women Acting, for example, nonprofit organization that celebrates excellence with African women in the arts. There is Black People United for Change, with head up by Vanessa St. Louis and then myself as the signing officer. We're doing things in the community. There is Lori Beezer, Toronto Pan-African Film Festival. It's a community festival where she celebrates Black film. I can go off the top of my head. I'm just kind of rhyming them off, but there's L.A. Wade, who's like wrote amazing books, and she's just created a new wine. There's so much. There's A+ Smoothies. This man is a physiologist, a physicist, a physiologist, and he has his own business where he creates healthy smoothies made from earth, made from pumpkin seeds and all of the things for your health. For Black people, we are always at the top when it comes to blood pressure, blood sugar, obesity, heart disease, all of those things. And he's about creating those things to break those stigmas. There's so much. Rosemary Havson has this amazing business. She's a holistic health specialist, and she specializes in all of these beautiful holistic remedies for all of the things. Like I just said, blood pressure, blood sugar, our health, our mental health. Troy Crossfield has an organization, Iron Sharpens Iron, where he has men that come together on the first Friday of every month to commune and talk about their mental health struggles. He has one for women as well. There's so many people doing, I can go on. And I'm going to apologize to the people that I didn't mention, but there's so many.
Yeah, it's your head, not your heart. That's all right. That's okay. It's okay. You and I are both involved in the media.
Yeah.
How does media representation affect perceptions of unity or division within the Black community?
Well, I think, drama and trauma usually is the first thing that sells, right? So you'll always see, and I use that because it's true. Like, you'll see a lot of what goes on bad. And so what happens with that is People are like, oh, for example, when I'm reporting on missing Black youth, I'll see a lot of comments come in there and say, oh, they're just going to run away and drugs. They're just bad. They're this, they're that. And all of the negative comes first. And it's like, we have to start balancing that out. We can't only just be reporting on all of the bad things that is going on in our community. Let's talk about and celebrating the excellence of what's going on in our community, which is why I'm so passionate about celebrating Black excellence when I see it, when I come across it, being a part of that. So we just need to find that balance. So it's good that, for example, this whole thing that is happening with Tyler Perry, what happened with Shannon Sharp, there are podcasts everywhere were jumping on these stories, and that was giving them all the views. And I'm not saying they didn't do what they did. I'm just saying that we have to also try to balance it out, because there's a lot of good that's going on in the community as well. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of excellence that's going on in the Black community. So it's about finding that balance and also shifting the narrative that you can't only just be interested in drama and trauma.
Mm.
You got to also be able to celebrate the wins as well.
100.
So in Black media, we need to make sure that we are willing to balance that out and show both.
So just building on what you said, what do you feel is the responsibility that Black journalists, writers, and media outlets have in promoting unity?
Which is one, sorry, I'm just going to answer my question by saying this is one of the things I love about the Daily Scrum News, because one of their objectives is to really not trash Black people. Let's celebrate on Black excellence 365 days a year, So I think the responsibility that journalists play is, like I said, is to balance it out. Right. So if a horrible story comes on about Black on Black gang violence, sure, let's report on it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about anti-Black racism, but let's also talk about the wins and the excellence that's going on and how Black people are overcoming that and how we're rising above that. And, so we have to balance it out. And I feel like that is our responsibility as journalists.
Mm. You and I are blessed that we have our own, or we are in collaboration with a lot of platforms that are Black owned, which means that we can control the narrative. How important is it when it comes to media communications that we control our own narrative?
Oh, crucial. Because if we don't do that, we can't, well, let me just put it this way. We can't allow other media outlets to control our narrative, right? Because oftentimes what will happen is some things will be watered down. Some things will be PC, things will be left out. So it's incumbent upon us to be able to take that and we control our narrative. So when we as Black journalists are reporting on something, it's okay to hold us accountable for sure, but we also have to make sure that we're doing responsible journalism and responsible reporting and move with integrity, and be people of principle, right? So that's my feeling on that.
I want to talk a little bit about criticism and complexity here. So some might argue that calls for unity can gloss over important differences and disagreements. How do we balance unity with honest dialogue about internal issues?
Ooh, that's a good question. Because it that certainly does happen, right? I think, and I know for me personally, I've experienced it where I've been able to work with people where we can have a disagreement and we can have spirited conversations and debates, but still be able to say, hey, I love you at the end. And, okay, let's agree to disagree. Or, you know what? I see your point. Let's see how we can layer this in and make it work. And it just starts with us being able to listen and not be on the defense. And also, I always say, you can have a conversation and have a difference of opinion and still not be a jerk. Like we don't have to be a jerk to each other. And so we have to be able to be in a space and have differences of opinions, ideologies, all of those things, but still be able to work together and sort out how we can, or just agree that maybe, it's time for us to move around because it's not the right thing for me. And that's also okay as well. So, it's about being able to find that balance. And as I said, being able to have respectable conversations, disagreements, disputes, and settle it and move on and still be able to work together or not.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a question here, and you got to choose one of the three answers and then explain.
Ooh, multiple choice?
Well, and you're gonna have to explain. So I'm gonna give you a question, and then I want you to pick one and explain why. So, in your opinion, what's the most important factor for building unity in the Black community? Shared values, economic support, or open communication?
Ooh, I can only pick one?
Yep.
Oh. Well, I want to say initially is shared values. But I'm going to say shared values. It was between shared values and open communication, but if you have shared values, you can have open communication. So I'm going to say shared values because, like I said, if we're all moving on the same path with the same mindset and shared values, we can have open communication and be able to unify and work together and grow together and build together.
Okay. And then not everyone's going to have the shared values. And I think you mentioned already, we're not all going to be on the same boat. For those who are on that so-called, correct, but we just move forward without those who aren't.
Sorry, repeat?
No, I'm just saying that the shared values, ideally that would be great that everyone has the shared values, but obviously some are not going to have those shared values. For those who don't, do those who have the shared values, you just move forward and continue on because you'd like to get everybody, but you're not going to get everybody.
Oh, of course, you have to continue on. We definitely can. There's been times where I would reach out to somebody that doesn't necessarily share the same value as me, but they're a value add in certain areas. Like for example, I may be wanting to go show up at Queen's Park with some signs and megaphones and just talk about, I don't know, something I saw in the news that I feel like, was just absolutely wrong against our community. And I may call somebody that I feel like is so strong in the area of public speaking, and it's like can speak and relay better than I can, but they may not share the same value. Then I'm going to just go forward without that person. So, but I will still try because I see a strength in that person that I think can work with what I'm doing. But if they're not willing to do it, that's fine as well. We can, they always say you can drag a horse, but you can't make them drink it, right? So, and there'll be people that will start with you and stop, and along the way say, I don't think this is for me. So I'm going to go ahead and go. And that's happened even on the platforms I work for. They'll come on and they'll come in hot. And then somewhere along the way, they're like, no, not for me. I can't deal with the heat. I can't deal with the smoke. I can't deal with the bad comments. And, people, it gets to them, and it's not for everybody. Sometimes in theory, it seems great. But once you start doing the work, or once you start like practically getting involved, it's like, oh no, So it can happen in many, many ways. But the short answer is we still forge forward with those who are willing to be a part of it. And I always say that to my partner at Black People United for Change is I keep saying to her, those who are meant to be here will be here. If it's 1, if it's 2, if it's 10, if it's 5, they'll be here.
What role does mutual support, whether it's in business, activism, or family life, play in building unity?
Well, I mean, a huge role, because without that, without mutual support, you're not really getting very far, because one person can't always do everything. That's a huge weight to carry. So mutual support is important, but also mutual support combined with shared values,
Mm,
coupled.
mm.
They're in lockstep with each other.
Got it. Got it. Well said. Well said. I love that. I love that. What advice do you have for those who feel discouraged by repeated setbacks in collective action?
Don't accept no.
Oh,
Like don't accept no. I mean, I would have lost money if I was if somebody told me that this is what I would be doing at this point in my life. Like, who? I would have said you're a liar. Me, a journalist? Not happening. You know. So you just don't accept no for an answer.
mm,
I certainly did not. I never. And even if I did get no, which, trust me, I've been rejected a lot in my life. I didn't foster it. Even if I was going to have my moment, I had my moment, but it was time to move on. So if that job, that company said, sorry, we're not hiring you. Okay, well, I'm back on Indeed. Let's just, I'm going to keep looking. I'm not going to allow this no to affect my entire self-esteem.
got it.
It's we as VP of marketing brands for the Carl Parks Collection, which is a clothing brand that me and my hubby own. We have one that says "Know Your Worth," and it's a picture of a heart and a crown with a jewel in the middle, and it says "Know Your Worth" in the middle. It's important that we know our worth, and we just don't accept no for an answer. I love, I think it was Tyler Perry who said it, that if they build your own table. If they reject you, build your own table. I always say, if they close the door on you, go buy the building. That's kind of my mentality, and my mindset is no. No is just no is no. You're going to get no. It's going to happen in life. You just move forward.
I'll end it off with this. If you want to get a whole, let me do it this way. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also join the Morning Vibe let me do it proper. YouTube and hit the notification button. Also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. Should also say Substack, but it's coming up in a bit. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Please email me at dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. There's a link for Discord. To advertise your business product or service on our show, email me. Also, if you want to get a hold of Mr. Ryan Knight, RyanO'NeillKnight.com, and that's Knight with a KN. LinkedIn, Ryan O'Neill Knight. Instagram, Ryan.Knight99. Email, work with me, RyanO'NeillKnight.com. Website for me, thedrvibeshow.com. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. Instagram at The Dr. Vibe Show. X, drvibeshow.com. Give them the email address already. You can also catch me on Substack at dr.vibe.substack.com/subscribe. And then Blue Sky at drvibe.bsky.social. And there I am on TikTok at the dr.vibeshow. And you can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Also, Ryan O'Neill Knight on YouTube and African Caribbean Business Network on Facebook. Before I check out, sorry for the people who couldn't catch us on YouTube, but we're going to upload this and put it on YouTube within the next 24 hours. We will get that figured out. As always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. Also, if you're not making money, make history. But try to do both. and make it better. God bless, peace well, keep the faith, and walk good.
Bye, everyone.
This whole thing of using your business with plant-based products, don't you think your life should reflect that too?
Juke him, Carolyn, juke him. The family loves us here because they're saying Fitness IQ Can says put a wig on to get in.
Oh my God.
Like the ideas are just coming fast and furious here this morning. What? Okay, look at this. Global Women Ambassador. Good morning. Look forward. Okay.